A just culture is one where employees feel able to speak up if something goes wrong. So they're not worried about being punished for the actual event that's happened. They feel able to raise the concern with their employer, so their employer can learn from whatever it is that's gone wrong. Their employer needs to create that trust with all their employees so that they can learn from mistakes rather than those mistakes being hidden. Just culture is defined in the regulation as a culture in which frontline operators or other persons are not punished for actions, omissions, or decisions taken by them that are commensurate with their experience and training, but in which gross negligence, willful violations, and destructive acts are not tolerated. So a just culture is a fair culture. So 99% of the time, it's a no-blame culture. So if somebody makes a mistake and they own up to that mistake to their employer, the employer wants to learn from that to stop it happening again, that's the no-blame element. But in 1% of the cases where the employee has done something which is gross negligence or willful misconduct, there we do need to punish them. And it needs to be recognized that a total no-blame culture isn't actually a fair culture. Within Europe, there's a regulation related to occurrence reporting, and that encourages organizations to engender a just culture to enable their staff to report safety occurrences. And it's actually European law. It's important that employees report incidents because of a number of things. Primarily, your employer needs to understand when something's gone wrong so they can learn from that incident and put in place some measures to stop it happening again. It could happen to someone else with a more severe consequence, for example. Secondly, you as an employee, if you report something's gone wrong, you then have some protection against your employer unfairly punishing you for what was not his mistake, so the European regulation will protect you. Lastly, the same regulation actually says that you should make the report. So if you don't report, you may actually offend. You've broken European law yourself. The responsibility for just culture is across all staff. So as a member of staff, it's not just about reporting yourself, but it's actually about encouraging your colleagues to report. The responsibility for just culture rests with the organization as well as staff. So for a member of staff to be able to report, they need a system to do that. So the organization they work for needs to provide a system and train their staff in how to use that system. So it's important that the organization facilitates open reporting. It's the responsibility of staff to report, but it's the responsibility of the organization to enable that reporting. To encourage staff to report, they not only have to feel that it's safe to do so and they're not going to be punished in some way, but they also need to think it's worthwhile. So it's important that employers provide feedback on the individual report that somebody may raise, but also that if they get the opportunity to demonstrate how previous reports have resulted in some big improvement in the organization, they can publicize that to encourage staff generally to use the reporting system. Staff need to believe that putting in a report actually makes a difference.